Hey, well, welcome to Trucking TV. My name's Chris Gosling, and we're off today on one of those things that we do. We're here with not so much news as we sometimes have. Let's get rid of my earplug. And what we're looking at today, well, nothing much is the truth in terms of crime news. We've had a little scan round and found, bluntly, very little. It's an interesting one, isn't it? We have found a couple of interesting stories that I think you will be interested in. And let's just take a look at one of those. Let's just have a little look first at what we're going to talk about today, because there's a couple of things I'd like to get you involved with, if you would be so kind. Well, I'll hit the first story first. Thieves starting their Christmas holiday earlies. Well, we haven't actually had any crime reports on the Trucking TV crime reporting page at all in the group. So, such as life, we've had a look round and there aren't any other crimes much reported today. So, in fact, it looks like a quiet day for crime, although, honestly, I don't really bloody believe it, to be honest with you, because the truth of the matter is that there's always some going on somewhere, and it always affects HGVs. Truth, isn't it, really? So we have to ask really whether criminals have cut down their criminal activities because they're all having more holidays than the rest of us, such is life. Okay, second one that I want to talk about is driver health checks, because there was an interesting story come up in the Glasgow paper, I think yesterday, and we'll look at that in a minute. But I also just want to wave a flag at you, because I don't know whether you noticed the title on the show. Would you pick driving as a job now? After the show is over, I'm going to start running a poll just to ask what you think, really, because lots of people go on about the job shortage or the driver shortage, and we don't seem to get much around it, really, and we don't seem to get enough information. I want to have a little chat about that a little bit later on. We'll do the other two stories first, and then we'll go on to driving as a job, because I've got some views. I'm sure you've got loads of views, and I'd love to hear them, and I'd love to have them on Trucking TV. Okay, so first and foremost, well, the crime thing. Hopefully when you know about, see any crime, you'll let us know through the Trucking TV crime reports. That would be useful. Don't forget you can join the group quite easily. Let me just, I've gone on the wrong bit. Brainless prat. There we go, such is life. Let's just go to the right bit of my page for that, and let's just remind you of that one. So, there we go. So, don't forget then that if you've got crime to report, to tell us about, to tell the world about as well, you can put it in on Trucking TV's Road Transport Crime Reports group. It's easy to join. You're very welcome to join. And if you know of any crime that's going on, or see any crime that's going on, or it affects you directly, we'd love to hear from you. Because what we'll do then is tell the world, because the world needs to know that truck drivers are constantly under attack. Personally, and purely personally, looking into the future, I can see drivers becoming actual victims of attack more. It happens in other countries. There's no real reason why it shouldn't happen here, because let's face it, guys, the criminals think they can get away with it, and they will continue to do it. So do have a look at our group. If you've got anything to report, we'd love to hear from you. Okay, let's get away from that one. We'll come back to that maybe a bit later, but not for a moment. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about now is this one. This is really, I find this really quite a queer story. Now this is, here we go. Here's a good afternoon, Dave. How are you doing? And this is one that I really wanted to talk about today, because I came across this morning, and this is from the Evening Times in Glasgow, and this was that instance a couple of years ago, if you recall, when a bin driver, well, nobody really knows what happens to him apart from he went a bit wonky, I think is the truth. The guy was unwell in reality. And what do we say? Well, here we go. Let's just read this little piece. What they're saying is that the driver who passed out at the wheel had been declared fit to drive after lying to his GP about a previous fainting episode while driving a bus. Bloody hell. And what the guy is saying, the lawyer is saying, is that it's currently being left just to drivers to declare if they've got any problems, if they're unwell, and if they don't declare, then if they say there's nothing wrong with them, then they can just walk through getting the health check. What they're now saying, or what this guy is now saying, is that drivers should in fact, or the licensing authorities in fact, should have access to drivers' medical records. It's really an interesting one, isn't it? I think it's really concerning in two ways. One, it's concerning insofar as it puts more pressure on drivers, and two, it's concerning insofar as it seems easy to do. That's the issue, is that reading the article, it says the big problem is that private firms will arrange for the form to be signed by a medical practitioner for a fee of around £50, but the signatory will not have sight, spelt wrongly, of the applicant's medical records, which strikes you as being worrying as well. So the thing that I'm getting to on this one is not really about the issue. The whole issue of health is obviously a big one, but it's just another bit of pressure on drivers. Instead of having to do your CPC, your driving test, all the other bells and whistles that you need to do to keep your license and to keep your job, you're also now going to have to do more work yourself on getting your health check done. It strikes me that the thing that we're talking about all the time is just increasing the pressure on drivers. And this is one of those things where it all gets a bit sticky and interesting, isn't it? Because drivers actually have to currently put up with a lot of crap. No two ways, is there really? Drivers have to put up with quite a lot of crap, and they have to go by the rules, and they have to follow so many different rules. And the job is becoming, I believe, increasingly stressful and increasingly difficult for drivers. Big bosses in big companies have admitted this. The guy, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we covered a story where the guy from PD Ports said that drivers have a bloody awful time and they need looking after. Well, big news, guys. There you go. So what we need to do is to look really increasingly at drivers' jobs, and this is where we come back to the poll that I mentioned earlier in the show, which is, here we go, let's just find this one. Okay. And what I want to go back to is, if my machine wants to do this, of course, which it sometimes doesn't, let's face it, is this one. Would you pick driving as a job now? Here's a good question for you guys. In about a minute or two, we're going to put that poll up on both Trucking TV and on Road Transport Crime Reports. We'll put that up, and you've got a day, maybe two, we'll see how it goes, a day to fill in the poll. You can do a simple yes or no on the question if you wish to. You can do you can say yes and nothing else, or you can say no and nothing else. But if you have sideline concerns that you'd like to mention, then fair enough. You know, from my point of view, the more the better. But if you can actually fill in that poll, would you pick driving as a job now? You've all been doing it for years. Some of you guys are newer to driving than others. If you've been in the business a long time, I'd like to hear from you. If you're new to the business, I'd love to hear from you. The more the better. If we could get a couple of hundred people to respond to this, I would be overwhelmed with joy. If we got 1,000, I'd be waving big flags. And I will bring you the first results tomorrow, because I think this is really important, because what we're going to start fighting for in the new year on Trucking TV is for a better deal for drivers overall, because that's what we need to fight for, and we need everybody to get together and do a bit of hand-to-hand in the trenches. There you go. Okay. That just about wraps us up for today. I know there's some people out there. Do not hesitate to get in touch. There are loads of ways that you can get in touch with us. On Facebook, as you know, on YouTube. Don't forget there's a huge stack of videos about driving, about trucks, about transport history on our YouTube page. Look for Trucking TV on YouTube and you'll find some entertaining video. You can contact us through Twitter. You can contact us by phone, leaving a message or text as you choose, 07943 043 760. You can also take a look at the Trucking TV website where everything is stacked up so you can find all of our back history and so on. Okay, that's the show for today. I'm going to have a nice relaxing afternoon, as if, and if you've got anything to tell us, if you've got an interesting story that you think everybody needs to know, I'd love to hear from you. Okay, I am Chris, this is Trucking TV, and I will see you, I hope,